Hello, and welcome to the Mindful Evolution Podcast. I'm Leah Drew, your host and mind-body healing guide. This podcast is for the awareness seeker ready to go deeper, create change, and feel more empowered over their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. My intention is to be a catalyst for you as we explore topics surrounding holistic health, mindset optimization, trauma healing, emotional intelligence, and much more. I'm so grateful to have you here and to support you as we evolve in mind, body, and spirit. Let's breathe in and out. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Mindful Evolution Podcast. Today I have a solo episode for you, and we are going to be diving into mindfulness. We're going to be talking about what mindfulness is. We're going to be talking about how it's changed my life and why I believe that mindfulness is key in creating change in our current world. We're also going to be discussing how you can bring more mindfulness into your everyday. So, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the state of being conscious and aware of the present moment while simultaneously acknowledging, accepting, and understanding feelings, thoughts, and physical sensations that you might experience in your body. And through mindfulness, we have the ability to learn, we have the ability to grow, we have the ability to heal much better than we would without mindfulness. Mindfulness has played a really, really big role in my life through my healing journey with chronic pain, through my healing journey with chronic disease symptoms, through my healing journey with my mental health, through my healing journey with my community, and with my interpersonal relationships, as well as with my business. And I truly believe so deeply in the power of mindfulness and what it can do for you in your life if you choose to be more aware of bringing it into your daily reality. Mindfulness does a whole lot of things. As I just mentioned, it has supported me with my health, physical and mental, my relationships, my work, and it's also been really supportive for developing my spirituality and coming closer to spirit and going deeper into myself and being able to connect more with the knowledge within myself. Because of mindfulness, I've been able to eliminate my anxiety. I've been able to eliminate my suicidal thoughts and depression for the most part. And if it comes back around, the anxiety or the depression, because of mindfulness, I know how to navigate it. And it doesn't overwhelm me and it doesn't control my life. And so that's one of the biggest aspects of stepping into a more mindful lifestyle is that it equips you with the ability to navigate challenging situations without those challenging situations running and controlling your life. And when we talk about the science of mindfulness and what it's actually doing, it's creating a lot of shifts and changes in the brain itself. So I want to toss a little bit of science at you and help you understand why mindfulness is creating so many changes, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and energetically in your life. So we've got the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for things like decision-making and self-control. And this tends to thicken with a regular mindfulness practice. Science also shows us that we experience a reduction in amygdala activity, which handles our emotional responses to things like stress and fear. And so it helps us with more emotional regulation. We also see an increase in neuroplasticity, as well as changes in focus and attention. And the focus and attention changes are due to the impacts on the anterior cingulate cortex. We also see increased memory through mindfulness, and this happens because we are increasing gray matter in the hippocampus, which is amazing. We have many studies that show us that gray matter is actually increasing through a more regular mindfulness and meditation practice. Meditation is one part of mindfulness. And then we have a reduction in the default mode network. And this is the area that is responsible for those wandering thoughts that you might experience throughout the day. So ultimately, as you bring more mindfulness into your day, it will help with reducing those wandering thoughts. For me, those wandering thoughts used to lead to a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-neglect. I really didn't have a whole lot of self-love when I was younger. And mindfulness has also been really helpful in bringing me closer to myself, in developing my relationship with myself. So, more reasons to practice mindfulness, as we've discussed some here already. Mindfulness is really supportive for emotional regulation and emotional intelligence. And ultimately, it's making you a whole lot less reactive. I remember when I was young, I was incredibly reactive. You might be able to resonate with that in your own story and in your own experience growing through life. Maybe you're still reactive. And mindfulness is a way that helps reduce that reactivity. And it does this because it really helps you recognize the emotions you're experiencing. It helps you recognize the feelings that are coming up in your body. It helps you recognize that moment when you might want to just explode or yell or lose control, really. And mindfulness allows you to witness, to identify that that is where you're at, and to reel it back, to bring it back and find that sense of groundedness again. This can be really supportive with developing your emotional intelligence, because if you're capable of being aware and being able to recognize these deeper emotions and these deeper triggers and these deeper understandings of how you want to react and respond, as you get to know your emotions better, you can enhance your emotional intelligence. Mindfulness is also really supportive with stress reduction. This is a huge one. When I'm working with my clients, mindfulness is one of the first things that we go to, because it allows the body to reduce the production of stress hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, and allows your body to step into a state of parasympathy. This is where your body can rest, digest. It is where you can heal. And if you are navigating any form of a health or a healing journey, this is where mindfulness makes massive shifts and changes to your mind and your body. And if you do not support your body with stress reduction, your body's going to stay in this fight or flight state, and it's not going to be able to heal. It's not going to be able to process. It's not going to be able to find that sense of relaxation. And it might influence your relationships. It might influence your sleep. It might influence your health. Stress truly destroys your body. And so being aware of when you're stressed and having tools through mindfulness to be able to understand how to support yourself to reduce that stress is going to be really important. Mindfulness is also really important for pain management. And the thing with pain is that it actually changes your brain. And over time, when you're navigating chronic pain, it creates a different response in your brain and in your body to the actual pain experience. And so what mindfulness does is it helps to down-regulate that upregulated reaction to pain. And so through mindfulness, you can actually start to reduce your experience of chronic pain. You can start to reduce your reactivity to pain and to sensations, and you can start to allow your body to heal. We also have self-awareness. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you get to know yourself and how you react. You get to just develop that relationship with you. You get to know your heart. You get to know your body. You get to know the ins and outs of your being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Mindfulness can help you with enhancing your relationships. And it will do this because it brings awareness to your thoughts, your words, your feelings. And it allows you to step into that observer role and recognize the dynamics between you and yourself, between you and people around you. And it will help you step into more optimal and more non-violent communication with the people around you because you're more aware of these things and you're capable of identifying them before they come spitting out of your mouth so that you can actually have more effective and loving conversations. Mental health is a big one, especially for me in my world. I'm very, very passionate about mental health because of my history with mental health, because of my challenges with mental health, and because of the experiences with anxiety, depression, and my suicidal ideations. And so through mindfulness, I've been able to learn how to support. Through mindfulness, I've learned how to better support my mental health and give my brain and my mind and my body and my being what it needs so that I'm not dysregulated, so that I'm not triggered, so that my limiting beliefs don't run my life, so that my mental health is supporting me and not working against me. So there's so many ways that mental health can be supportive for you along your journey of healing, of self-discovery, of personal development, of healing your relationships with the people around you, family and friends, healing your relationships with business, with finances. There's so many ways that mindfulness can be supportive to helping you heal from chronic pain, chronic disease symptoms, and grow and expand into your life. Mindfulness, in my experience, has brought so much happiness and joy and connection to not just myself, but the world around me. And I want that for you too. And so, why do I think it's important to bring mindfulness to the world? Well, that is a loaded question, but I am going to answer it for you. I truly believe that mindfulness is the key to creating massive change in our world, in human beings, in our earth, in society, in so many ways. Because mindfulness gives us the ability to be self-reflective. It gives us the ability to be observant. It gives us the ability to create effective change that supports mental health. It supports your relationships. It supports your stress reduction. It supports emotional regulation. So when it comes to why we need a mindful evolution, or a more mindful evolution, I should say, there's a lot of reasons. And I'm sure that you're already thinking of many of them. But, I always go back to my childhood. And one of the things that I remember doing every single day in school was standing up, putting my hand on my heart, facing a loudspeaker, and reiterating the Pledge of Allegiance. Had that time and space been filled with mindfulness, meditation, breath activities, things that actually trained me as a child to have the tools that would support me as I progressed forwards in life, as I faced challenges, as I experienced emotional dysregulation, I truly think that my life would be extremely different. I probably wouldn't be where I am today, because where I am today is a result of not having all those things and going out and committing to learning them. And my experience developing into an adult would have been a lot easier. And that's something that I really, truly desire for every single person on this earth, is I want them to feel empowered over the tools to better support their physical, their mental, their emotional, and their spiritual well-being. You deserve to have those, and everybody that you know deserves to have those tools. Unfortunately, our society does not teach us those. We're taught how to do math in school. We're taught geometry. We're taught science. We're taught physics. We're taught all these things going through school, but we're not taught self-mastery. We're not taught how to support ourselves. And that's a problem. Before I go any further discussing how to take a more mindful evolution and what a more mindful evolution would actually do for our world, I want you to think. If you had those tools and if you were trained and taught how to be more mindful and how to better support yourself, your health, your mental health, your physical health, all the things, how do you think that would have changed your life? How do you think that would have changed the experiences that you navigated growing up? How do you think that would change you as a person today? So something to think about there. So coming back in here, a more mindful evolution would, in my opinion, do so much for this world. So much for you. What do I think it would do? Well, we talked about how mindfulness supports an enhanced awareness of self. And so I'm going to go through some of the things here that I believe a more mindful evolution would do for our world. So we talked about how mindfulness increases awareness of self. And so I believe that if people had a better understanding of themselves, their pains, their challenging, their thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs, I believe that it would contribute to a more positive society. Imagine if people were more mindful about how they communicated with you, what they did for you, what they did for themselves, what they did for the environment, the world around us. It would do so much. In regards to building empathy and compassion for one another, mindfulness could help people be more empathetic and compassionate towards each other, which would likely lead to better societal systems, less conflict, and more cooperative efforts to build global solutions around current challenges. When I speak about current challenges, I'm talking about climate change. I'm talking about public health. I'm talking about economic inequality, politics, homelessness, resources, and the scarcity of resources specifically. Things like terrorism, social issues and discrimination around things like race, gender, sexuality, and religion. Also talking here about education, particularly in developing countries, as well as mental health and biodiversity loss. So our world is facing a lot of challenges right now, and mindfulness, I believe, is the key to supporting us through these challenges and helping us enhance our communication so that we can do better problem solving to support these challenges. I believe that mindfulness would also be helpful in creating more sustainable living for every person on Earth. As we talked about, we are using a lot of resources on our planet, and it is harming our planet. It is destroying our planet. And so taking a more mindful approach to sustainable living would help to improve our relationship with the Earth and help be more conscious of the choices we're making around consuming, disposing of waste, and using energy. I also believe that mindfulness would completely change physical and mental health in the entire world. Because if we had more mindfulness tools and techniques to better support ourselves, we would likely experience less chronic disease, less mental health issues, and a massive reduction in health care costs, which would ultimately free up resources to put towards other challenges in the world. In regards to building our relationships with ourselves, what mindfulness I see could do is allow us to connect more deeply with not only the knowledge within us, the higher intelligence within us, that is God, that is spirit, that is truly all-knowing, but it would also allow us to fully show up in the world and leave a more positive influence on it. So let's go into this a little bit deeper. When you are able to develop your relationship more deeply with yourselves, you start to recognize things like your passions, your purpose, your mission, the things that really light you up, that you care so much about, that you want to do something about. And through that, we actually get the opportunity to create a bigger impact on the world around us. So by developing that relationship with yourself, I believe that we have the ability to continue to make greater change in the world around us. There's also education. This is one that I talked about a little bit earlier, just little changes. For example, imagining replacing the Pledge of Allegiance with mindfulness tools and activities and dropping a child into their being, right? So little things like that. But creating education reform could significantly be supported by bringing more mindfulness into the school systems. And this is happening in many places, and it's also not happening in many places. It's beautiful to see this evolving, and there's still more work to be done. I believe that mindfulness needs to be in every single school system. Why don't children have books about mindfulness in school? Why aren't they taught classes about mindfulness? We have gym, we have music, we have art, we have all these things for children, but we don't have oftentimes mindfulness classes. So that's one thing that I think could make a massive difference. When I look at creating change in the world, I see that there's two major populations that need to be targeted simultaneously. Well, I guess really there's three, right? That need to be targeted simultaneously to create this massive shift. First and foremost, the children. The children need to be trained in a way and educated in a way that gives them the tools before they need them. That way, when they actually need the tools, they know what to do and how to support themselves. So that's the first population. The second population are like Gen Z and the young adults, teenagers into early 20s, that have not yet brought children into the world. And I say this because by bringing mindfulness into their lives, they may have the ability to completely change the ways in which they show up for their child and support their child in becoming more knowledgeable in how to support themselves with mindfulness tools. Parents are leaders. Your children mimic you. They learn from you. And so if you can take on these tools before you bring children into the world, it would play a massive role in the evolution of our society and in the evolution of humanity, truly. And then we have the adults. We have those individuals that already hold a lot of wisdom. This is a harder generation and population, I should say, in my opinion, to create change. And I say that because there's lots of habits that have been ingrained as you get older that do become harder to shift. And that does not mean that you cannot create shift. Shift and change is always possible if you choose it. And so it doesn't matter what age you are. I have clients that come to me in their 60s and their 70s that want to dive deeper into meditation, that want to dive deeper into mindfulness, that want to go deeper into healing their mind and their bodies. So you can do it regardless of what age you're at. But the point here is that we need an education reform across every generation. We need education reform in every place that we can get it, in every population, so that we are all evolving together. That brings me to the impact of mindfulness on creativity. Mindfulness allows you to step more into your creative self, into your creative expression. And through this can lead to innovation. And so that leaves a whole lot of possibility open for the future. Mindfulness can also be very supportive with our economic systems. Imagine if the economy was driven by more mindfulness and less mindful consumerism. We would ultimately see new economic models that prioritize things like well-being and sustainability over profit first. And this would likely lead to profit down the road because if we're prioritizing sustainability, guess what? Profit's going to follow. Think about what could be possible if countries were able to cooperate more with each other, to communicate more with each other. Think about what would happen if cultures were able to better understand each other and communicate with one another. So many possibilities. And ultimately, if we shifted to this ideology that we are all in this together through mindfulness as a bridge, so much is possible. And then we have spiritual growth. Mindfulness is naturally going to catalyze this and leads to deepening of that spiritual awareness within yourself, regardless of religious affiliations, and you can align and resonate on the concept of spirituality. So there's so many things that I see mindfulness doing for creating a more conscious evolution in our society. I believe mindfulness is the key. And I believe that a mindful evolution is so important right now in our world. I believe it's so important for you to think about bringing mindfulness into your world and into your life. And if you need help with this, please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions about this, please reach out and ask. But ultimately, mindfully evolving the human race would be like upgrading our collective operating system. And with all of the things that we're seeing happening in the world around us right now, I think more than ever, we're coming to an understanding that we need an upgraded operating system. Things need to change. And things get to change if we choose to change them. And it's going to involve shifts and tweaks and improvements in almost every aspect of life as we know it. But together, anything is possible. And when those shifts and tweaks and changes and improvements are fueled by awareness and that collective activation, oh my goodness, the potential is limitless. So I would love to leave with you today the prompt of what do you think the world could be if every person on the planet understood mindfulness and was regularly implementing it into their day? When we talk about how to practice mindfulness, there's a lot of ways to do this. Breath work is a form of mindfulness, focusing on your breath, focusing on the in-breath, focusing on the out-breath. There's so many different ways to practice breathing, but just focus on breathing in and breathing out, noticing what that feels like in your body, noticing how that leads your belly to rise and fall. When I'm working with clients, when I'm starting to guide them into meditation, we focus on counting the breath. Breathing in for a count of maybe 4, breathing out for a count of 6 to 8, always making that breath out a little bit longer than the breath in. Mindfulness can be practiced through things like body scanning. I love moving through contraction and relaxation. And so moving through the body and doing a body scan from your toes to your ankles, to your knees, to your hips, to your belly, right, to your sternum, to your throat, to your cheeks, to your forehead, to the top of your head, all the way from the bottom to the top and or top down, outside in, inside out, whatever feels good for you. Think about contracting and relaxing different parts of your body, bringing awareness to those parts of you. You can bring mindfulness to many other areas of your life, like walking, eating, washing the dishes. And you can do this by being aware of when your mind starts to wander, when you're thinking about something other than the task at hand. When you're outside walking, are you noticing the way that the ground feels? Are you noticing how the wind feels against your skin? Are you noticing what you see around you? Are you noticing the noises? Connecting with all 5 senses is a great way to enhance mindfulness in any moment. What you see, what you taste, what you hear, what you smell, and what you touch. And then some other ways to practice mindfulness can be journaling, being aware of what's on your mind, what's on your heart, and meditation. Meditation is a powerful way to practice mindfulness. And there's so many different ways to meditate. Many people think that meditation is turning off your brain. It's not. Meditation is truly the practice of mindfulness, being aware of what comes up and not following it, choosing to not follow it. There's the analogy of the clouds passing by, thinking about laying on the grass, laying on a trampoline and looking at the sky and just watching clouds pass by you and noticing when you become attached to a cloud and want to keep watching it go by, or noticing yourself having the ability to release, to surrender, to let go and not follow that cloud. It's the same thing with your thoughts. Meditation truly is the ability to notice and become aware of when a thought arises and your desire or action in following that thought. And reeling it back in and coming back to the present moment, that's mindfulness. Mindfulness is choosing to not follow the thoughts that arise and returning to center when they do. So thank you guys so much for being with me today. Like I said, if you have any questions, if this brought up anything in particular for you, I would love to hear your thoughts, especially on this topic, given that it is the foundation of my podcast. It is the foundation of everything that we're going to be talking about moving forwards. Any guest, any solo episode, any person that is here with me, including you, my intention is to discuss and contemplate different topics and ideas and things that can support us in achieving and stepping into a more mindful evolution in humanity. Thank you. Sending you love. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today and for continuing to opt in to your inner work. If you found value in this conversation, please share it on social media or with someone you know that values both healing and growth. And I'd also like to invite you to join the Holistic Healing Tribe. This is my private community full of self-healers who are on a mission to optimize their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Click the link in the show notes to join the tribe. And when you join, I'll send you my favorite things that have made the biggest impact on my health, my healing, and my growth. And finally, if you're anything like me and deeply care about seeing a more mindful approach to human evolution, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners and make a bigger impact on the world around you.